It ain't 5 p.m., but it's 5 p.m. somewhere, man. Good morning and welcome to another episode of the Ultimate 216 Show. I'm your boy Earl of Pearl. That's Cecil Shorts, man. Y'all know the vibes. If you woke up, you already won. I hope you do something that your future self will thank you for, man. This is a good time to let you all know. Let me get it. That the Ultimate 216 Show is brought to you by Living for We. Catch season 2 of Living for We. Keep your head up, hosted by Marlene Harris Taylor and Maisha Watkins. Every other Tuesday, presented by Idea Stream Public Media. Each episode takes you deep into the real life struggles of gun violence and communities of colors. Stories that don't always make the headlines. Make sure you subscribe today to Living for We on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast. Also, man, make sure y'all are smashing that like button, retweeting this on social media, telling a friend that we are live this morning. As we get ready to get into this show, I think our impact question that we want to ask you all, and you all can chime in the chat. We'll read as many of these as we can. Is what do you think the perfect combination of draft picks is for the Cleveland Browns? Whether that be at 2 and 33 or 2 and them trading back up into the first round. Later on in the show, man, we're going to talk about some Cavs versus Knicks bold predictions for tonight's primetime game. That'll be presented to you by FanDuel. I'm going to give you all a 5-leg parlay that I plan on putting in tonight. Hopefully, we win some money together. And we get started, brother, with the latest NFL mock drafts. We both were scouring the internet this morning, and we found some information that gets you excited, you know, even though you can't really trust what you see in a mock draft this early on. But, you know, just some of the things that me and you saw today was enough to get you excited about the different possibilities that the Cleveland Browns have, you know, seeing that they hold the very first pick of day 2 in their draft. And we're going to get into some of those today. So what was one that really stood out to you?
Well, I think just think about the options. It's fun just to think about the options that we have. It's not fun to be in this position because that means we won 3 games last year.
Yeah.
But it's fun to be in the position because there's a lot of good players at the top of the draft, even from the second round, third round. Now it's time to find those gems, and hopefully Andrew Berry and company can figure out who's the right fit for what they have going on. The one thing that filled my mind, honestly, that caught my attention, the mock draft, was the Field Yates one from ESPN. And actually, it's going to be on the flagship show right after us. So make sure you check in right after us. The flagship show, Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, is going to be hot on that Field Yates mock draft. At number 2, Abdul Carter, which me and you talked on Saturday, I believe. 92.3. I was a little confused on that. But if you go that route, Field Yates has number 33, Tyler Show from Louisville. And he's an intriguing prospect. I heard Sean King talk about him on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. I heard him talk about his height, his weight, the traits that he has, that he is NFL ready, that he's been coached by some really good guys. And I'm interested to see how he does. I know he had a good Senior Bowl. He had a good combine. But is he the guy that you'll go with at 33? If you look to me, if you're going for a quarterback at 33, I'm not sure Tyler would be the guy. For me, if I'm going for a quarterback, if I go Carter at 2, I might want to trade back into the first round and try to find somebody there, whether it's Dart or Shedeur or whoever is left, right? If those guys are gone, I guess those guys would be the big 3 when you look at it. Cam probably be gone, and then Shedeur and Dart probably the big 3, and then Tyler be the 4th guy, if I'm assuming. So if he's there at 33, I guess, but I'm big on the other guys. So if you can go get up one of those and back in the first round and get one of them, I think that'd be great. Abdul Carter's interested in that too. He still has a foot injury. He's still fighting that foot, right? On paper, him and Miles together, it would be scary. And honestly, he looks, and it's not because of his number or because he went to Penn State. He looks similar to Micah Parsons, right? He does. His athletic build, the way he gets after the pass rush is very similar. I just don't know if that's the best thing for the Browns at 2. I'm just not sold on that yet, Errol. You talk to me. I'm just not sold on that.
So it's funny because Tyvis made a compelling argument yesterday that, you know, Travis Hunter should be the pick at 2. And I told Mike, I said I felt like, man, he had like a bug in our office because I had literally talked about this same scenario. And I think me and you talked about this last Saturday when I hosted on 92.3 The Fan. I have no issues with Abdul Carter whatsoever. I think Abdul Carter is a generational type of talent, but Abdul Carter is one of many pass rushers in this draft that can have an immediate
Mm,
impact. And when you talk about draft strength and draft weaknesses per position, that particular position has more strength than I think any other position group in the NFL draft this year. And so knowing that there's so many pass rushers that you can get in the second round that can step in opposite of Myles Garrett or just to be a part of that group, it's like, okay, yeah, Abdul is intriguing, but it's more guys that's similar to Abdul than it's not. And when you look at a guy like Travis Hunter, a lot of these draft experts have him as the number one overall wide receiver and what's considered to be a weak class. We had Jordan Reed on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show yesterday, and he had the name Justin Jefferson in his mouth when comparing him being Travis Hunter, to a current NFL wide receiver. And then when you look at what he gives you on the defensive side of the ball, he's a lockdown corner. People talk about his frame and his size all the time, but the man is 6 feet, 6'1", depending on who doing the measurements. And he's somewhere between 175, 180 pounds. He's not the biggest dude in the world, but he's a young man and he's going to gain some weight. He's going to gain some muscle mass as his career progresses. But as we look at a lot of these mock drafts that we are seeing right now, I seen two today, one of them on NFL.com, and it had us taking Abdul Carter at number 2 overall. And then the second one I seen was behind a paywall. This one was on the Athletic, and it also had us taking Abdul Carter at number 2 overall. So it seems like the consensus across the board when you look at these different websites and you talk to these different experts is the Browns are going to take Abdul Carter with with the second overall pick. That wouldn't be the player that I would draft, but if the Browns did it, how can you really get mad at the
mm-mm.
pick being Abdul Carter, right? Like if it was me and you were going non-quarterback in this situation, I'm definitely going Travis Hunter. I think it's somebody that you plug in right away next to Jerry Jeudy. And then if you had to, for whatever reasons, you can plug in right next to Denzel Ward. I think it also makes Greg Newsome more expendable. If you was to draft for Travis Hunter, I think that you can possibly work out a trade if you know you're not going to resign Greg Newsome and get a player that you might be able to keep in Cleveland for another 2 or 3 years. So I just think it gives you some flexibility, which you can do with other players on the roster. And then you get a true two-way dynamic player. You hear the comps to Champ Bailey and Charles Woodson, but they had packages on the opposite side of the ball. This dude legit played both sides of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, the pick at 2 would be Travis Hunter. But if it is Abdul Carter, I have no issue with that. I think as we move on, this is where things started to get interesting. And I think you talked about Tyler already. I want to start with what I seen behind a paywall on the Athletic. And this particular mock draft had the Cleveland Browns trading back up into the first round to select tackle Josh Simmons from Ohio State. And see, so you can kind of read that real quick as I get this publication up and talk to the people because it's funny. You and I talked about Josh Simmons being a possibility for the Browns at 33, and
Mm-hmm.
this year has them trading up to grab him back in the first round.
This is interesting because I believe in this mock draft that has Abdul going 2, correct,
Mhm.
and then trading back up for Simmons and at 26. Which honestly, this combination I love, and I'm gonna tell you why I love it. If you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, the reason why they won the Super Bowl the way they did because they dominated the defensive line and they dominated the offensive line. It's that simple. They're in it to win it every single year. They're in a competitive and they're in the NFC Championship or in a contention to get to the Super Bowl because they dominate both sides of the line of scrimmage. Same thing with Kansas City. Same thing with San Francisco. Same things with the Detroit Lions. Numerous good football teams, they dominate on both sides of the football. Period. So when you make this move, this is telling me, okay, you're serious about getting better as a pure football team. You hit the offensive side, you hit the defensive side. You traded up. you probably got to trade that 33 pick, I'm assuming, to the Rams in this situation to
Mhm.
be able to get this guy. But he can be a guy that competes for the left tackle spot ASAP. Big physical guy, long arms, moves his feet well, great technique. He played in the Big Ten. The Big Ten is known for offensive linemen. They're known for going against tough competition when it comes to the defensive line as well. So to have him, somebody's going to be a dog in that room. And who it doesn't really matter whoever your quarterback is, they will be protected with him being there. I think that's a huge pickup and a great idea. I love that mock draft from the Athletic.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Simmons, man, he addresses an immediate need. When you look at the tackle position as it stands right now, you got Conklin, who's an older veteran who probably has a year or two left in his NFL career, based on the injuries and just age. And then you have the uncertainties in DeJuan Jones. And I think DeJuan Jones, from what all I've heard, Jay Crawford ran into him about a month or so ago and said the man looked really, really good. And so I think if you drafted Josh Simmons, it gives you more depth at the offensive in the on the offensive line, more depth at the tackle position, and then you can start preparing yourself to revamp this line in the future. And you talk about the trench play. You mentioned like this would tell you that the Cleveland Browns are serious about winning. If anybody can recall how the Cleveland Browns addressed the NFL draft last year, they went Mike Hall Jr. and Zach Zinter, right, with their first two picks. And so they pretty much address the trenches the same way. And I remember when Tyvis actually sat down with Kevin Stefanski after the NFL draft, and he asked him why the picks were what they were with those first two selections, and he said, football is won and lost at the line of scrimmage and the trenches, and you hear G. Bush say it all the time. A tackle is not the most sexiest pick. But at the same time, it's an impactful pick. Like, I mean, we talk about guys like Travis Hunter who played the same position as you. You can't get the ball if your quarterback ain't got time to get it to you. So,
Right.
that's something that you got to look at. Now, we seen another publication, and this is one that I think could get people way more excited than Josh Simmons. If you're not like a football nerd, a guru, if you those guys right there, you love to pick of an offensive lineman, especially if you can trade back up and then you pretty much just give up pick 33 in a later round pick. This is a scenario right here, though, that I think will get people in the city of Cleveland excited. I think this is what will sell tickets. This will restore faith a little bit more than I think Abdul Carter and a Josh Simmons comparison. I seen this on NFL.com this morning. They had the Cleveland Browns trading back up into the first round with the Minnesota Vikings
Now we
to
talking.
draft Shedeur Sanders. And this is Lance, I think, Zerling from NFL.com. Sorry, I didn't butcher his name, but this is from April 1st, 3:04 p.m. And it has the Cleveland Browns trading back up again to take Shedeur Sanders, pick number 24. And I looked at Mike today when I when I seen this, and I told Mike, I said that will be the one that made the most sense, because if you look at the Minnesota Vikings general manager, he is the former vice president of football operations here. And so him and Andrew Berry has that relationship. When you look for trade partners and you're trying to make a move, this business is built on the back of relationships. And so just to see the Vikings as a possible trade candidate, to me, it said, okay, if Shedeur, for whatever reason, was to fall in this draft, like some people project that he does, then now you talking, right? Now you might have something. And I don't think people will be opposed to Shedeur at 24. Like those same people that's opposed to Shedeur Sanders at 2, I don't think they will be opposed to Shedeur Sanders at 24. And then a lot of those men and women are people that's in the camp of Abdul Carter. So you get arguably the best pass rusher in the draft, and you get what most believe is the second overall quarterback prospect in this draft. So I guess, like, which scenario would you like most now that you've seen both? Both of them.
You know I'm high on Shedeur. I personally want the Browns to go Shedeur at 2. But if you go Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter at 2, either or, if you go non-quarterback at 2, and then for whatever the reason Shedeur falls, which is a legit thing, he may fall, right? Say the Browns don't draft him at 2, and say New York Giants don't love him at 3 because they got Jameis and Russell for whatever the reason, right? And he gets past the Jets and gets past the Raiders. then hey, I think it's time to make some moves. That would be amazing because I think everybody, like you mentioned, everybody would be okay with Shedeur in the 20s. I think the issue is, hey, he doesn't have the traits to be at the quote unquote elite caliber at number two. I think that's the issue everybody has. But at 24, and I'll tell you how scouts look at it. We talked about this before. I've heard scouts and GMs and K coaches say numbers 21 through 50 or 60, whatever it is, they view as the same. They view as the same like scale pretty much. Like they all view them as the same mark as talent. So if you can get that fifth year on Shedeur at number 20, whatever it was, I think you're in really, really good shape. My only issue is the Steelers are at 21. I would hate for Shedeur Sanders to go to Pittsburgh in some type of way. And
Boom
then we
Dog
have
just brought it up.
to see him twice a year. I would hate that because he would fit well with Mike Tomlin. He would fit well with that culture. He would fit well there. But going back to the Browns, I think that would be awesome. This is my favorite scenario. You get Abdul, you get Shedeur, you had your quarterback because now you got somebody to throw the ball to. Now you got somebody to move around with. In the other mock draft, it was two linemen, great, but you still got Kenny Pickett as of right now. You still got Kenny Pickett there to throw Jerry Jeudy and who else the football, right? We're not even sure what else they'll do in the draft. So that's my favorite by far. I love me some Shedeur, man. So I think he can be somebody that's really, really, really good for the franchise and somebody that Cleveland would back, especially in the 20s range.
Yeah, so we seen some comments in here, and a couple of them that I do want to address. You already talked about the one about Pittsburgh being a possibility of drafting him, and I think that as the draft shapes up, you do want to see what these other teams that's quarterback needy will do, because I think even if Aaron Rodgers signs with the Steelers, it still makes sense for them to draft the Shedeur Sanders, right? And so the Saints is another team that I think people are not talking
New
about enough.
Orleans.
But New Orleans is another team that you got to look at and say, okay, they might look at this and say, okay, I need to draft a quarterback. Sean says, I can't believe people think that Sanders is better than Jaden Milroe. I know he meant Jalen Milroe. I think that, and you can speak to this more than me, I think that Jalen Milroe by far is the most superior athlete in this draft when it comes to the quarterback position. But as far as being like the actual quarterback, I think he has a ways to go. I think he's a very raw prospect and a raw talent. But I do think that his ceiling and his sky like is very high if he lands in the right situation with the right coaches.
I would agree with that. I think athletically, he's probably the most gifted. He can run. I think he ran 4.3 at his pro day. He's squatting like crazy. And let's look at his body type. He looks amazing, right? But you have to be careful with those freak-looking athletes. We talked about it. You got to look at the Anthony Richardson from previous years. He came in the draft and he only played a handful of football games and went top five, and now just rumors of him being traded and him not being the guy, and whatever the case may be. Jalen, I think I agree, has a very high ceiling. He has to be in the right system, though, and somebody in the right team is going to be patient with him and be able to continue to teach him and continue to work with him on his craft because he's a worker. I mean, Lank says it all, right?
Facts, facts.
But he's a worker, so he's going to go there and put that time in. He needs to be with the right coach, the right system, and continue to work his craft, and he'll be good. I think he has potential to be similar to a Jalen Hurts, but probably more of an explosive player. He's faster than Jalen, maybe even got a stronger arm than Jalen. Right? His deep ball is not bad. If you look at the tape in Alabama, him throwing deep to different guys is not bad. It's the progression that he struggles with. It's the going from read to read, and then the consistency with the intermediate to short term routes, or short game routes. But if he has a high ceiling, and I wouldn't mind him honestly later in the draft. I don't like him at 33. I think that's too high for him at 33. I think third round or later, I'll be okay with the Browns having a project and working with him. But if he goes to the right system and the right fit, and maybe sit for a year or so, similar to how Jalen Hurts sat for a year and then came on later, I think he can be a special, special talent because he's something that no matter what, I don't care what defensive coordinator it is, they hate when it's 3rd and 12 and you got him off schedule. And then all of a sudden the quarterback can take off and run and get a first down. It can be the perfect coverage, the perfect defense, but there's no perfect defense for a mobile quarterback that can get upfield and get that first down or even more.
Justin Little brought this up. Shout out to Justin for watching and just dropping a comment in the chat. He said he's super smart and motivated, and his athleticism is off the charts. And I always am a person that talk about those unwritten intangibles. Like you can't measure the size of a dude's heart, right? You can't measure that will when somebody tells you that you're not good enough or you're not capable. Like those are things that's unwritten that typically drives people. And I think I'm having this conversation with the right person. You was a star at Collinwood High School, where we didn't win any football games in high school, and you were going up, in the newspapers against guys that were stars down the street at Glenville. And so it's easy for you to be told, yeah, Cecil, you ain't good enough to do this, that, and the third. You play for the Wood and this, that, and the third. But I always tell people that class of 2006, of all those athletes that went to both programs, guess who was drafted the highest out of everybody? It was you. And so, like, your heart, your hard work, and those things that went into getting you into those positions, I can see how, Jalen Milroe will be motivated in the same way. And if you already are smart, right? We talk a lot about Shedeur Sanders football IQ. We talk a lot about Cam Ward's football IQ. This dude seems to be right there, up to par with those two young men when it comes to understanding the game of football and knowing what to do at the line of scrimmage pre and post snap. I think the problem is the accuracy issues, right?
Yep.
And not really knowing like ball placement and things like that. But those are things that seems like to me is mechanics and techniques, and those are things that can. That's why you got coaches at this level, right?
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Those are things that are fixable. And like you mentioned, with his hard work, with his willingness, with his heart and passion for the game, he'll get better at it. I just truly believe he has to be in the right system. They have to be patient with him. If he goes somewhere and they rush him and he's thrown out there, that can kill his confidence and the whole nine. But if somebody's patient with him and put him out there when he's ready to go, I think you have a special talent at hand. So Jalen Mirror was high on my list, but again, I don't think he's 33 high. I think he's lower than 33. But if you can get him in the building, you're doing something good.
All right, man. Y'all tell us what y'all think, man. We got a couple of NFL mock drafts out there that's showing the Cleveland Browns with multiple picks in the first round. One has a combination of Abdul Carter and Josh Simmons, the tackle from Ohio State. The other has a combination of Abdul Carter and Shedeur Sanders, quarterback at Colorado. Y'all tell us what y'all think. You tell us which combination makes more sense to you, and what would you do if you was Andrew Berry in that position, man. Don't forget, you catch the flagship episode of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show live at 11 a.m. today, man. Anthony Antonelli is the lead producer, and he got a fire show planned for you all. So make sure you check that out. As me and Cecil move on for the last segment of the show, it is a good time to let you know that this segment is actually brought to you by FanDuel. March Madness is here. FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's 200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories, and even who's cutting down the nets. The FanDuel app is simple to use, and when I win, I get paid instantly. There's no waiting around. It's also a good time to let you all know that I always take advantage of the 25% profit boost given to the Cleveland Cavaliers. They did it in the month of March. FanDuel is running that back for the month of April, man. So again, if you on FanDuel right now, man, and you want to bet the Cavs versus Knicks tonight, you get a 25% profit boost by betting with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Yo, man, big game tonight for the Cleveland Cavaliers at home against the New York Knicks. The game is on ESPN, 7 o'clock. Cavs is a 10.5 point favorite, man. What are you looking forward to seeing in this game tonight?
I think the Knicks are what, a 5, maybe a 4 seed right now.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing two playoff teams go at it, because second round, maybe hold on, they're a 3 seed right now.
Yeah, they're the 3 seed. They're on a 3-game winning streak right now. They are 6-4 in their last 10 games.
To me, it's just continue to dominate. Like, I think for the Cavs, they proved everything. They proved the physicality. They answered that question in my book. They proved they can defend. They proved they can put different guys in different positions based on who we're playing against. Love DeAndre Hunter at the 4. Oh my gosh, when he's in the game there, it's exciting. it's always about continue to stay healthy. I think it's only 7 games left until it's playoff time, and when things get real. So I'm just excited, man. One more good game tonight, and then we'll continue this path for the hunt for the championship. To me, obviously they're the favorite out the East. I don't know if they're the favorite in the whole NBA. I think OKC is like the overall favorite to win it all. But all you got to do is get there and see what happens. So I'm excited to see this run.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this run as well, man. I know like a lot of people have been kind of pushing the panic button lately on the Cleveland Cavaliers because things in the last month
No,
didn't look as smooth as things did for the better part of the season. But I appreciate the cricket road. I appreciate the adversity that the Cavaliers have went through. I think all of this is making these guys battle tested for what's to come in the NBA playoffs. You know, my last couple radio shows, I've led my calf segments with, toughness on trial. Because if you think about how grueling the month of March schedule was, and that 4.5 weeks that you get in that calendar month, 3 of those weeks, the Cavaliers played 4 games in 6 days, right? So you see the physical fatigue be put on trial. You see the mental toughness being put on trial with the 4 game losing streak, right? You just see the travel schedule. You come back off that West Coast trip, you play a home game, and then you hit the road to go against another playoff team in Detroit the very next night. And I think all these different things that we're talking about has put the Cavaliers' toughness on trial, not just the physical toughness, but the fatigue and the mental. And I think the Cavaliers have done a good job of, staying poised, stand even keel, not getting too high, not getting too low. And as we flip the calendar over to the month of April and we close out the season with the remaining games that we have, I think all of that is going to work in the Cavs' favor to ultimately get to where they're trying to get to.
I'll add this to your point too, because in that stretch, in that losing streak, I think the leader of the team, Donovan Mitchell, said some key things in interview when he basically just took the blame for everything. Like, hey, it's on me as the leader of the team. I need to do A, B, and C. I need to shoot the ball better. I think he was in like a shooting streak. He couldn't hit the ball. He could hit the side of a barn, right? But him being able to step up in that moment, him being able to step up and say, "Hey, it's on me. I will do better. I'll make sure I lead this team to the right, to the promised land. Do whatever I have to do to make sure we get back on track and for these guys to get back on track." To me, the leadership is where, not only from Kenny Atkinson, but from the player standpoint, and that's going to be huge. Peer-to-peer leadership is huge when it comes to these big playoff runs.
Yeah, man. I think Donovan has been shown to be this selfless leader the entire season. Just thinking back a couple months ago, just talking to Donovan after all the media obligations were done, and he said to me, like, I just appreciate these dudes allowing me to be their leader. And I
Mm,
think when he was going through that tough stretch that he was going to, him taking accountability and saying, like, I'm not playing up to par. And if I'm not playing up to par, this team is not going to reach its overall goals. But to me, where I think I give him the most credit at is staying poised and staying mentally tough when your shot's not falling, when you're not playing the best, and you're hearing the noise because you are the leader of this team. By all accounts, many consider you the best overall player on this team right now. So when you hearing that noise and you know that you're not really holding your own weight, like it's easy to get down on yourself, but you understand the selfless part of being a leader and the impact that it can have on the rest of your team. And for you to be able to just hang in there and ride that out and overcome that, like I thought it was great. For you to have a game to where you set a career high with 14 assists and then turn around the next night and then have a game where you drop over 30,
yeah.
that's a sign that everything is heading in the right direction, if you ask me.
No, I totally agree, man. I'm excited for this run. I'm looking at the schedule now. Honestly, not sure how many games the starters will continue to play as the season dwindles down. I expect them to be full go tonight, but after tonight, you got San Antonio away, Sacramento, you go in the Sacramento and Chicago come to town. Then you go two road games with the Pacers and Knicks, and then you finish up in Indiana, or Indiana comes home. So I'm just excited, man. Like, this is the time of year where it's tough on teams because they're just ready for the playoffs. Like, the guys are past it now. Pretty much the playoff seeding is set, especially the top 4 or 5. Um, but it's like, hey, it's time to get going. It's time for some real basketball. So I'm just pumped up and ready to go.
Yeah, I'm pumped and I'm ready to go too. I think the atmosphere tonight is going to be lit. It is the New York Knicks. It's a home game.
It's a good
Uh,
team.
yeah, good team. Like the atmosphere is going to be crazy. They come in 48-27 again. Winners of 3 in a row, 6-4 in their last 10 games. The Cavs, man, we are 5-5 in our last 10, and we have a 4-game lead over the Boston Celtics. As we try to secure that number 1 seed. Other matchups that you need to look at tonight: Boston is at home against Miami. That game is at 7:30. Detroit is on the road against Oklahoma City. They are actually on ESPN right after the Cavs play, and Charlotte is on the road against Indiana. So just a couple notes, couple teams that's kind of floating with some playoff seed and stuff right there. As we get ready to close the show, so I try to put a few dollars on FanDuel, every game. I typically go straight Cavaliers with my parlays, and I've been more successful than not this season. Had a heartbreaker the last game. I had Darius over 19.5. He finished with 19. The only leg that missed, but I ain't crying nothing. I wasn't sad. I ain't kicking screen. I wasn't sipping the wine, listening to some Mary, but I was a little upset about that. I ain't gonna lie to you. So this is what I'm gonna do tonight, man. This is what I'm gonna do tonight.
I'm taking notes.
This is the Knicks that we playing. Donovan was under his 25.5 last game. I am going to go Donovan Mitchell for 25 points today, 25 plus points today. Okay. I am going to go Evan Mobley, 20 plus points today. I am going to go Darius Garland, 6 plus assists today.
Oh, I like that one.
And I am going Jared Allen, 10 rebounds today. So I got Jared Allen with the 10 rebounds today. I got Darius Garland with the 6 assists today. I got Donovan Mitchell with the 25 points today. And I have Evan Mobley with the 20 points today. I do need one more to put on this here list. I'm going to go ahead and go something simple here. I'm going to go Max Strus, 2 threes.
Oh, that's money.
That's my 5-leg parlay. Jared Allen, 10 rebounds. Darius Garland, 6 assists. Donovan Mitchell, 25 points. Evan Mobley, 20 points. Max Strus, 2 threes made. So that's what we're doing today, man. It's been real fun hanging out with y'all. Don't forget, the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show flagship show comes to you live at 11 a.m. this morning. They got a fire show planned out for you all, man. Stick around and make sure you watch that, man. For Cecil Shorts, I'm your boy, Earl of Pearl. Until next week, remember, man, be great, spread love. Being great comes with a price. Spread love is priceless. Till next time, we are out. Peace.